Hey y'all. Welcome to Hypnotica with Chantelle and Melissa. We are going to talk today about how powerless leads to manipulation. So, Chantelle, as a hypnotherapist, what is your niche and how do you see powerlessness playing out with your clients?
Wow, well, that's like a huge question. I find that healers go into their healing modalities and pick their niche very similarly to like what they've gone through in their past. So, like, I was raised in a cult and I wanted to understand how my parents could be manipulated in that way. And being raised that way also left me with a lot of like social anxiety, regular anxiety, depression, basically like complex PTSD with like panic attacks and the works. And so my niche kind of revolves around religious abuse, complex PTSD, and, you know, anxiety, depression.
Hmm.
Um, so, yeah, powerlessness and manipulation. I feel like it's really a subconscious thing that's going on. So, the reason that I picked hypnotherapy as my healing modality is because it is the one that is most um, in tune with the subconscious, and it has a way to communicate. You can communicate your conscious mind and your subconscious mind together. Like, you can get the client to put the, connect those dots, and like kind of realize like the behavior that they're having that they don't want to have anymore. Like, what is the root of it? Like, why are they doing things they don't want to do? What is that subconscious thing going on? Like, how are they getting off on their behavior? Like, there's some kind of secondary gain. So, like, getting to the root of that. So, like, when clients come in for their first session, like, I ask a lot of questions about their past, because like I do want to respect their religious beliefs, spiritual beliefs, whatever beliefs they have. And also, I find that people, when they come in with their issue, the root is often very different, or it's not what they thought it was.
Hmm.
And it's often feeling powerless is like the trigger, like the deep down root of what's going on, with the behavior that they want to change in themselves. And yeah, like, did I answer your question?
You
What did I
did, yeah.
miss there?
Nothing. Yeah, you didn't miss anything. Can you walk us through, like, let's say, I mean, I've been your client before, but let's say I'm a brand new client and I'm like walking in the door. Walk us through what a session is like, especially because I feel like I can already hear it. Like, there are people who feel super nervous of having to almost like relinquish control and let you guide them. There's a lot of tension that's there and a lot of fear that's there. So I think when we know what to expect in a session, it can help some of those nervous parts relax. So tell us. We're gonna walk in the door. We're all coming to see what's happening.
Okay, so many things, so many tabs popped up when you were talking. Okay, so yes, like, I've been the client too, and it's a good thing when we have those parts of us that don't want to like open ourselves up to someone we're not in rapport with, someone we don't
Mhm.
trust. So the rapport is the most important thing with any relationship, especially a client therapist relationship. Um, so I feel like how we feel about ourselves is how we feel about others. So, like, the more I've been able to love myself through everything, through all the fear, guilt, shame, like all of the things, the more I can give that unconditional love to my clients and be like, you know, just understanding, and be that space of non-judgment. So when people come in, that rapport piece is so huge. And another tab that opened up in my mind is that, like, people don't understand what hypnosis is.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime someone tells you a story and you listen to it and you imagine what they're talking about, you're in hypnosis. Like anytime you fall asleep, anytime you wake up in the morning, anytime you're reading a book, watching a movie that you're engrossed in, like anytime you do that, like you're in hypnosis. Hypnosis is just a brainwave state, like a theta brainwave state where you're more relaxed and more open to suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone has protective parts, and that's what I work with. I work with those parts that are, you kind of need to get the memo that they don't need to do the job they used to do. Like as children, we had to protect ourselves in different ways, whether it be lying, for example. So let's say someone comes to me and wants to stop lying as an adult because they don't need that protective behavior that they needed as a kid to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Well, or I mean, it could be any protective part that is just trying to like make sure that the inner child doesn't get hurt anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yes.
And so just explaining to people when they come in about how parts work and
Mm-hmm.
how we can get into like the seat of self and observe these parts. And when you're relaxed and you know you have your eyes closed and you can kind of like dissociate a little bit and kind of see what's going on, like you can see your child parts and you can see the protective parts and you can kind of like have this above you and kind of see what's happening and then be able to release the emotion trapped in our bodies comfortably. Like that's what I just love about hypnotherapy is like we always have those bubbles of trapped emotion when someone hurt our feelings or when we were a child and we experienced trauma that we couldn't process at the time. No one helped us through it. We didn't know, so we just buried it deep down. I mean, we do it as adults too sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're having a rough time and have a traumatic incident, and instead of like feeling our way through it and processing it, it's just like, oh, if I stuff that down it won't be there, but alas it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why a lot of people find meditation challenging because, or even going to bed at night, they find it challenging because that's when
Mm-hmm.
all of the emotions and thoughts bubble up to be released, right? And then they're just
Mm-hmm.
like, oh no, you know, it's not okay to feel, but guess what? It is okay to feel.
Mm-hmm.
And in hypnotherapy, we can release that trapped emotion in a comfortable way.
Mm-hmm.
After like we those protective parts get the memo like that, like that was then, this is now. You know, like we have to, it's a whole process. But I'm trying to feel like how do I explain what happens in a typical hypnotherapy session? It's every session is different, but basically we have a bit of a pre-talk, find out what their goal is, and then they close their eyes and I lead them in a visualization, and it's all about empowerment. It's basically all about unhypnotizing them from the hypnosis that they've been in from society, religion, whatever, and letting
Mm-hmm.
them actually finally make their own choices and shift some things around in the library of their subconscious. Like it's ethically, it's not about me making any changes. It's about me holding their hand, going into the cave of their subconscious mind, showing them the library, showing them their options, and then having them choose what they want. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's a very, very empowering process.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I
Did
remember.
I? Oh, go
What's
ahead.
that? My session with you, like forever ago, I remember feeling so at ease, but also I'm like, I'm listening to you. Yeah, it was a very empowering process because I'm listening to you, I'm hearing you, but I am aware that I have a choice. And I felt like open enough to also receive whatever was coming up. And of course, my brain is always like, is this right? Or am I hearing it right? But like, whatever is there for all of us is the right thing. That's the thing that we need to hear or see or know in that moment. And yeah, thinking about like being on a timeline, thinking about seeing like the parts of me that generally come up in meditation, past life regression, hypnosis, it's like this very same very similar part that like happens to come to visit. Um, but that's for me, that's where a lot of my like stuff started. So we keep going, we go back to the same part. Um, but yeah, I think especially for people, I'm still hearing fear, especially for the people who still feel afraid. You, yes, you're listening in your session, but you still have control. Like you're not,
Oh yeah, all the
yes.
control, like the whole thing. Every hypnotherapist is created differently. Like
Mm-hmm.
every therapist has a different way of what they're doing. But how I do it is it's a conversation. Like the whole hour is a conversation. It's just that they're having this conversation in a very relaxed state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
And when they wake up, they will remember everything just as if they were in a dream.
Mm-hmm.
And they're talking to me, and they will remember everything. Like it's a conversation, but it's just a very relaxed conversation in your imagination. And a big question that people have is like, I want to do this right. Oh, I don't want to try it because like I don't know if I'll do it right. Well, there's no
Mm-hmm.
such thing. The first idea that pops into your mind is always the path.
Yep.
It's always the right answer. So the subconscious mind will always like give you that first, answer. And then the conscious mind gets in there with like, but what if this, and what if that, and what if that, and what
Yeah.
if that? We just ignore the what ifs. We go with
Yeah.
just the first thing. And it's not about a truth fact finding mission. It's not about finding what actually happened in your past or in your ancestors' past or past life regression or whatever. It's not
Mm-hmm.
about that. It's about the subconscious mind's idea of what happened. It's your subconscious beliefs, and they pop up right away. And some of the time, it's just like it comes as a surprise to us, not in a bad way, but in a like, oh, that was my belief about that. That's why I do
Mm-hmm.
that. And it's just really empowering to finally like shed some light on it. And it's just like once the light is shed on it, it doesn't control you anymore because you can recognize it now. Yeah.
Yes. Yo, that is the biggest thing is that once you see it, then you can choose. I'm not saying the choice is always easy, but then you can choose, do I want to continue down this path or do I want to opt out of this one and choose the other one we haven't walked down? Which again, it can bring up some stuff, but if we're feeling tired of doing the same thing over and over and over again, it's like, okay, well, why are we doing that if we don't love it? And then once we start seeing all the subconscious stuff, then there is we have the power and the ability to choose something else.
Yeah, because life is it's all about what experience we want to have. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like, we are all on this earth, but I feel like sometimes some of us are on different timelines. Like, some of us are experiencing hell on earth in our mind, and some of us are experiencing heaven on earth.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I feel we've been almost programmed to believe in lack and in powerlessness because that is
Yes.
the manipulation that keeps us doing certain behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like fear, guilt, and shame is like the thing that we need to be on alert for the most as a manipulation tactic. Like anytime anyone's trying to make you feel guilty or shameful or in fear, it's some kind of control thing. And
Mm-hmm.
often, like, and it's not about them being the bad guy either, because often they're just doing the things they're doing because they feel powerless. And
Yes.
it's like a bully on the playground, right? The bully has been bullied, and that's why they're bullying, is because they
Mm-hmm.
don't want to feel powerless anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so just being able to recognize that kind of gives us that choice point of like, do I want to participate in this anymore? Like, do I want to choose war or like victim hero savior stuff, or
Mm-hmm.
do I want to choose peace? Do I want to choose worthiness? Like, we always have that choice point, and just being able to like to see it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people are wanting to always be right and good, and they like, in order to be right and good, I have to suffer till no one else is suffering. but that's not
Mhm.
true. If we continue to suffer and we continue to be in that cycle, then we'll never be able to stand for peace, and we'll never be able to stand worthy and like create the heaven on earth that we want to create, because all of our creative power will be going back into the war to make sure nobody, the innocent aren't suffering.
Oh, yeah. Like, oh my goodness. Yeah, even yeah, as you're talking, I'm like, oh my God, so many things. So when we are I say like when we're in a pattern or we get pulled into the war mindset and then we start playing the whatever role that we're playing in like the war mindset, how do we in choosing okay, what is my question? How do we become aware and then choose and decide that peace is where we're going to live?
I mean, by deciding it ahead of time and practicing it, and just knowing that, like, just kind of like having those two options in our mind, right? Like seeing the
Mhm,
war on this side and seeing the peace on the side, seeing the worthiness, seeing the powerlessness, seeing like that we can always pivot towards our preferences in the moment,
mhm,
and we don't have to play into like being right and good and picking the right team, the right side. We just have to
yes.
have values. Our
Mhm,
values are what we stand for. So we stand for humanity,
mhm,
like war is an
yeah.
extinction program. So going to war in any way is not standing for humanity.
Mhm,
So we need to stand in our worthiness and help people see that they're worthy too, and just like be what we want to see in the world. We want to be the peace. Like we want to step out of the manipulative games that we find ourselves in with our friends,
mhm,
our family, etc., or with like I don't know, it's all over the world right now on the news, social media. There's so
mhm,
many systems that we are in that perpetuate war, and it's just like, instead of being in resistance to what is, we're just like, everything is allowed to exist and I choose this to be my reality,
mhm.
just like moment by moment.
Yes. Yeah, for feel like for a lot of people, the war is so compelling. We have to fix it. We have to do this. And no, I have to prove to you that I'm the right one, that I am this. And so there's a lot of judgment. There's a lot, yeah, it's just like a lot of drama over there. It feels like when we're in that, the option for peace is to win the war. So we don't see that like no peace is stepping out of that. Like it's not about
Mm-hmm.
you winning or having power over someone else. It's what would you like your internal state to be and like move from that place. And if you choose that and do that, I feel like we naturally will opt out of all of the drama over here because it's like it doesn't resonate anymore. It doesn't match what we
Yeah,
have
you're
going
not on
on.
that vibration, you're not on that frequency anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically you're in victim mode, or you're in a growth mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So like the victim mode is very like blamey. It's
Yes.
very like, I'm not gonna look at my shit. Like there's no yin yang there. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like, I almost feel like the spiritual bypassing is on that side too, because you have to be able to say everything's allowed to exist and have that yin yang thing going on in order to move to the empowered side, where you're not the victim, where you're in the growth mindset. It's like, what experience do I want to have? Like, what am I
Mm-hmm.
standing for? What am I for? What is my yes? And you don't know what your yes is until you know what your no is. And that's where the yin yang comes in.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, definitely.
So if people want to know what hypnotherapy feels like, it feels like a spa for the mind. Honestly, it feels like a spa for
Literally.
the mind because you're so relaxed and you're imagining like your favorite landscapes. So what we are made up of on our in our subconscious mind, there's a lot of like symbols and metaphors, and our inner landscapes have like, I feel like the protective parts of ourselves are like walls or boxes within
Hmm.
our inner landscape. And
Yes.
our inner landscapes, they look different each time. So each time you come to a hypnotherapy session, the inner landscape is going to look different for you.
Hmm.
And the boxes or the walls are going to look different for you. And there's always a way through them, through these walls. And the way through these walls is unconditional acceptance. And like that is the way to like to love our parts, the parts of ourselves that we've exiled, the parts of ourselves that we've disowned,
Hmm.
to love those parts that are causing these behaviors that we don't particularly approve of, we judge ourselves for. Like these parts only are doing those things because they want our happiness. And if we can
Hmm.
give those parts a different job, to do something more helpful for the whole, like we can transmute those parts to be like an ally for us instead of like seemingly working against what we want, like our outcome of
Exactly.
being happy.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely. Yeah, in my own experience, the discipline that it has taken to give those parts different jobs and like congratulating them. Thank you so much for taking such good care of me. I now need you to do this other thing and to like stay on it because sometimes this isn't just like a one and done thing. Sometimes it is literally like you have to keep practicing and deciding and choosing and keep choosing that path you want to walk down, not the familiar one. Because the familiar one, it's so compelling because you know, but it's like, it's not satisfying or fulfilling.
Yeah, and like resistance, just becoming aware of when we are in resistance to anything in our life or to any parts of ourselves is so helpful, because it's like if you want a, a fulfilling life, it's kind of like being in a river, and being in resistance is like trying to swim against the current.
Hmm.
Like not only is it a bit futile, but and it wastes your time and energy, it literally drains your energy, but like it makes it grow stronger. Like
Hmm.
the whatever you're in resistance to makes it grow stronger. Like, do we really want to be feeding those things that we're in
Right.
resistance to? No.
Hmm.
And the thing is, people think that, if I forgive or if I just let it be, that I'm justifying behavior or I'm making it okay. That's not the case at all. It's
I've totally
not.
been that.
I know. And it's a human thing to do, and that's okay. It's just shining the light on that, realizing that it's not working, and then now choosing something that actually works.
Yes.
And another thing I love about hypnotherapy is that when you work with a subconscious mind, it's like immediate and not and it's effortless in the real world. Like when you wake up and you go out and about, it's like the changes are sometimes so effortless that people don't even recognize that they happened, because it's
Hmm.
a belief shift. See, these beliefs are often running our lives, and it's just like it's that underlying subconscious belief. Oh, I'm not worthy. If I'm not worthy, then I feel this lack, and I've got to be good and be, like it's just like this cycle that it goes along. And if you can just catch it, and like if the beliefs have shifted in your subconscious, then you go out into the world not feeling like a victim anymore. You go out feeling empowered, you go out feeling Like I can recognize manipulation. Like it's like a literal superpower to be able to recognize manipulation, the fear, guilt, and
Mm-hmm.
shame. Why wouldn't we want to do that?
Absolutely. Yes.
I think that's all. I don't
And I
know.
was like, do
That's
you have
that
anything
in a
else?
nutshell, I guess.
That is a spectacular nutshell. Yes. And thank you for doing the work that you're doing. Like, yes, helping people find what's true for them and what pieces for them. And yes. Where can we find you on the internet?
Oh, my Facebook page is Mindful Regeneration, and my Instagram page, Mindful Regeneration. And my website is chantelle.com or mindfulregeneration.com. All goes to the same place.
Yes.
I'll be working out of an office in Winnipeg pretty soon.
Yay.
Yeah, so that's exciting. That's coming up this summer. So stay tuned for that.
Yes, definitely.
And all hypnotherapy sessions can be done online too. So you don't have to come to the office. It's just as powerful online.
Definitely.
And if you want a recording to listen to when you go to bed to help you feel more empowered, that's free. Just hit me up. I'll send it to you.
Yes. Yay. I do love your meditations and your recordings because yeah, you have a very peaceful voice.
Why not go to sleep with empowerment?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wake up that way. I'm like, yes. Yay. All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging out with us. Go hang out with Chantelle, book sessions, let us know how it goes for you. And we will see y'all soon.
Bye.